Okay, so let's talk about The Last of Us. Um, I want to say the original script, or what we were originally supposed to get, and I feel like what that made, I guess, interpreted, but a lot of this right now was going off speculation and predictions because we got one trailer, we got some caption art, and then we got another trailer which was in the game. But other than that was about it. And when the game released, we got something totally different. So I don't have actual proof, but again, I'm going off predictions and speculations on. I feel like maybe what we were supposed to get, and I think it would be interesting. Maybe after a couple years from now, we would get Naughty Dog's original game release cut of The Last of Us 2, because as some of you guys remember, we got Ellie that looked pregnant in the trailer, and she looked like she was in definitely her early 20s. Because you could tell she's a little bit older. She was definitely a bit taller. We got Joel, who was a little bit more older, most definitely, and we looks like we were going against the Fireflies because we stumble upon a couple of signs with the Firefly symbols. Ellie with the guitar and Joel in the house with Ellie, and then we got some caption art with looks like a government SWAT team, and I guess ex-Fireflies who survived, and Ellie ducking behind a tree. And then also another caption art with Ellie, pregnant. Now, of course, we got the trailer where Abby gets captured and almost tortured by the scars. So, no, that's what I remember for the early, I guess, promotions and promo art. And I guess I don't know, we really didn't get a clear assumption of, one, how many years we're into the outbreak. So I guess with me just doing the best that I can do with these predictions and speculations, I think we would have started out in the beginning in Jackson. No, I take that back. I think we would have started back out in the place where Joel went to before, where we left from in the first game. I think we would have been back there, and because I don't believe they would have stayed in Jackson anyways if this was the original script. I think Ellie would have been maybe a bit of the same age, or where she's at now, at the same age at least in part 2. And I can see there definitely being a fight that broke out in that community with the first part of this. And not really knowing who the group is that attacked. But I can see us playing as Joel, looking for Ellie. At least in the little bit of the first half. It doesn't have to be stretched out, but a good proportion And again, we're finding Ellie. I think when we find her, like we just get out of there as the old community, the group is burning down and just falling apart. I feel like that would be accurate. And I can see it being so many years later as we're, back in Jackson and, we're living there and we get this one's a little bit harder to do because you wouldn't want to be out running if you're pregnant, though. I think rather than just doing a big time skip soon, I think we would have traveled back through some of the same places as callbacks as we're getting our way to Jackson and have some heavy dialogue with Ellie and Joel. I feel like that might be more appropriate. And then we get to Jackson and then we get a time skip and I think something happens to where during a run that Ellie and a group does, she stumbles onto the firefly symbol. And when she gets back there, I think she tells Joel, like, hey, I saw the firefly symbols today. What does that mean? Were they around her? Are they still around? Who all survived? Type of deal. I think Joel, maybe around this part, would tell her, hey, would actually tell her exactly what happened in part one and, most certainly why he chose to killing people that he did in the doctor building. I think that once he tells her, like, I got you out of there because you weren't the only one, but a lot of them, they decided to kill off after they got what they wanted from them. But none of the vaccines and cures, ever worked, and that's what they were going to do to you, because I stumbled onto recordings and files of failures of theirs, nothing but bad reports, and these were the fireflies who were just bad people. And Joel breaks down, like, look, I lost my daughter, I don't want to lose you. I think, when Ellie, she might get a bit upset, like, I could have been a hope for a world. Joel was like, yes, you could have been. But then there's that great chance that it would have been absolutely for nothing. I think Ellie would have stormed off. I feel like. And she would have packed her bag, she would have left. Most definitely. And I think she would have went back to the hospital to find the files herself. And I think once she found them, I think, Joel definitely would have went after her. And I believe we would have been playing through a little bit of that journey there. And then hearing about, a bit of stories about the fireflies and rumors along the way that they might still be around, or those that survive slaughtering people. I think once we got to the hospital, we would have found what we were looking for, and I think Joel would have came to us like, why'd you go here by yourself? That was stupid, that was dangerous. And I think Ellie would have broke down and was like, I forgive you. You were right. And I think we would have got dialogue in a cutscene of her telling Joel, like, I think they're still around. I'm hearing some stories, whispers, and some rumors right now. So I think something happens at Jackson. When they get back to Jackson, I think something does happen, which then gives us, Ellie leaving. And we don't know truly what could happen, maybe an invasion or somebody or a group of people just get slaughtered. Like, I can see Naughty Dog taking a page out of The Walking Dead when the Whispers beheaded all those people. I can see something like that. I think would make more sense for the Whispers. No, for the Whispers. I miss The Walking Dead right now, man. I'm a true fan. I don't care what no one says. I'm waiting for that last episode and some other stuff, but I can see Fireflies, doing something like that. I can see people getting nervous and worried, and maybe, once everyone's in an uproar, an attack happens. So I can see another page that Naughty Dog can take out of The Walking Dead when it came to, I think it was season 3, The New Frontier, where a riot and a fight breaks out. But I think rather than a riot, of invasion from the Fireflies and having their own group of clickers and stuff as an army, and, people getting killed, and I can see, like a fucked up way for us to get introduced to Ellie's boyfriend, and he tries to get to her and she's trying to get to him, and I can see him being slaughtered, but we don't know that's her boyfriend. I can see after the smoke clears, Joel might be on one part of Jackson and Ellie on the other, so they don't know, if they're both, still alive, right? But I can see us playing as Ellie for a good quarter portion of the game, hunting down the Fireflies, and when we get to the house, I think the original house was supposed to be definitely in a neighborhood that's overgrown. Because if you guys remember, part 1 of the game with the main menu screen, we got that windowsill with that knife. Yeah, I can see that being that house in a neighborhood. In the original script of part 2, I can see Ellie sitting down playing the guitar, but they just focus on her chest right here, her face, and that's it, and just the movement of her shoulder right there, strumming the guitar, and we get a song. Then once we cut that, we get to play Joel as a flashback, so to speak, of seeing his point of view, trying to find Ellie throughout Jackson, and stumble onto the same areas that we were at as Ellie, and trying to find clues, and eventually, we find her. I can see that, and I think, once we get to that door, because he hears the guitar, he yells out Ellie's name, and I think when she puts the guitar down, I think that's when we get the reveal when she stands up, like, oh shit, she's pregnant. And I think Joel will be a bit concerned, happy, and pissed off at the same time. Like, first, who's the baby daddy? I think she'll say like the name and then how he got killed, and I think we'll see that flashback, and when we do, I'm like, oh, he was the baby daddy, that was her boyfriend. I think Joel would also be happy and mad, where he's like, how long did you know? When were you gonna tell me? You gotta take it easy till that baby's born. And I think around at that time is when they step out the house, I feel like from one of the caption art pieces, looks like we get like a SWAT team of some sort, like a government SWAT team. And I can see them, hunting down the fireflies and also hoping to try to find survivors. And I can see them running into Ellie and Joel, and they may not know, like, we're this government SWAT team, blah blah blah, and behind the scenes we were connected to communities such as Jackson. And I can see Ellie and Joel saying, we were part of Jackson. It fell, it got attacked. I can see them being took to this new base, and I feel like Joel would have definitely left while Ellie had the baby to hunt down these fireflies against people's orders. And then also, once the baby's born, I feel like Ellie would have the baby in somebody's care who she could trust there to find Joel. And I feel like, they would have definitely stumbled onto each other to hunt down the fireflies together. I feel like once that happened and the SWAT team or the new government SWAT team would find out this base, what's going on, I feel like they would put Ellie and Joel on their wanted list as well. And I think maybe, just maybe, there might be a good chance, we probably would have got the cutscene where we got with Abby being captured and tortured. I think the original group was supposed to be the fireflies, but more darker, scarier. And I think we would have definitely had that Asian girl get killed. I don't think we ever would have stumbled onto the boy. I feel like it probably would have been either Joel or Ellie stumbling on to Abby, and I think Abby would probably be more of an ally, because I don't think that she would even be connected anyways to the old fireflies within the original script. To be honest, I think it just would have been a character we would have saved that would have been an ally of ours. And I think I think it makes sense for Ellie and Abby, and within the original script, definitely for her to save Abby and them to team up to get the hell out of there. And eventually we get dialogue with them and out their journey as they're trying to find Joel. She tells her about her story, and she does with her, and they start growing a bit of a bond, a little by little. And I think we do get to find Joel, but too late, because I still think Joel that Bobby would have died. And I think the last few stages would have been just, Ellie and Abby together, and probably in the forest throughout neighborhoods, taking down the fireflies, but also defending themselves against the government new SWAT team as well. And I think once that happened, they would have look, I need to go back. I want to get my child and I'll be on my way. So I could see something like that happening, most definitely being the case. Now, where they would end up at, I think it probably makes sense for them to go down to Texas and to just stay in Joel's old house, if it's not overgrown, or even the house that was in the countryside. And to me, I think, that would have been, or at least a good proportion of the original script from what I believe what we were probably supposed to get, but not really. I say not really because there's just a lot more that, we just don't know what we would stumble onto and, what we would get. And that being said, I'm out. Peace.